In this tutorial, you'll learn how to set up a dynamic domain that enables efficient simulation of large material beds. First, open an existing EDEM simulation. Please note, this simulation has been set up with a material bed already created and includes the Dozer blade CAD geometry. Note that this tutorial uses the default physics models for EDEM. The settings are for the Hertz-Mindlin model and standard rolling friction. The next step is to specify the geometry dynamics. For this simulation, we'll add a force controller to the blade and select the following settings. The blade will move along the x-axis. Next, you have to define the dynamic domain geometry. Set the following dimensions to the box and ensure that under General Settings, Dynamic Domain is selected. Also, under the Parent Options, select Blade. This will allow the dynamic domain to follow the blade motion. Set the following dynamic domain transform in the global reference space. Select the Environment section and set the following dynamic domain conditions. Any particles initially outside the domain will be frozen and removed from the contact calculation. Any particles that leave the dynamic domain area will be removed from the force calculation, following the dynamic domain settings, if particles move less than 15% of their radius within a 0.05 time period. Once you have completed setting up your model in the Creator, move to the Simulator. For this simulation, uncheck the Auto Time Step option. Set the fixed time step and run the simulation for 3 seconds. Set the cell size to 3 or min and set the number of CPU cores if using CPU Solver. Alternatively, you can select GPU CUDA Solver and ensure the display options are shown. Here you can see the particles that are frozen outside the dynamic domain. Click the Refresh Viewer button to observe how the particles transition from active to frozen once they exit the dynamic domain. After the runtime is complete, move to the Analyst section. Here, we'll explain how to change visual properties. First, hide the dynamic domain geometry and ensure you can see the blade part. Next, under Particle Coloring, set Color by Frozen with the following parameters. Track the blade geometry as it moves by setting dynamic camera views. Configure the camera view and select blade as the track geometry. For further information about EDEM tools, check the EDEM e-learning and tutorials in Altair community.